Yeah, so I've been following your channel for years.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite channels because I'm a gypsy jazz kind of, I don't know, fan, but I play that
Okay.
stuff too. And what I like about your channel is that it's very hands-on. Like it's stuff that you can use on the gig right
Yeah,
the
that
next
that's
day.
it's funny that you said it because that's the point of it. I started late with guitar, right? So, by the way, I've been following your channel as well.
Oh, thanks.
There was you made one video about bob dominant bob skills. No, bob skills, but not just a normal bob skills, but other ones like altered ones, and
Yeah.
yeah, that was very interesting. I thought.
Oh, cool. So
Yeah.
maybe you should introduce yourself to those of my viewers who don't know who you are.
Okay. Well, I'm Christiaan Van Hemert, or pronounced more in an international way, we Christian Van
Sure.
Hemert. And I'm originally a violin player, but then I started playing a lot with the Rosenberg trio, and got really interested in the guitar. So I wanted to pick it up. I wanted to pick up the guitar, and then I needed a way to get into the guitar. And I decided to use Stocholo's way, more or less. Like, how did he learn to play guitar? And I basically that's what I did. So my YouTube channel is also just showing you that way, right? Like, okay, just simple, right? Not too much thinking, not too much like we don't worry about the notes on the neck or like like basic things about the guitar. We just worry about what sounds good and where can you play it. That's basically how I did it. Yeah.
So do you consider yourself a violinist or a guitarist? I guess you're a
Well,
violin.
I have a degree in violin, so yeah.
So like
Uh,
classical?
yes, classical, and then I also played a lot of tango. I also had jazz lessons on violin, but it's very different from guitar, right? It's for me then. For me, it's has nothing to do with my guitar playing. It's very theoretical. It's very note based and stuff like that. Yeah.
But you live in you teach at Rotterdam, is that?
I taught for a long time at the University of Music Codarts in Rotterdam. Yeah, I stopped recently, but yeah, I've taught there for more than 10 years. Yeah.
And you were teaching violin or
Yeah, I was teaching jazz violin for a while, and I did combo lessons. I was teaching theory for a while, lots of different subjects, but mostly in the jazz field. Yeah.
and how long have you had the YouTube channel?
So the YouTube channel. Well, you mean how long have I been active? Because of course I have it for a very long time,
Yeah.
but like I really started posting videos 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. How long do you have it? How
I
long? Which?
yeah, I was just thinking that sounds about the same as me, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I also had the channel longer, but I started like posting regular videos maybe 7, 8 years ago or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Same. And then in the pandemic, I got really active.
Right.
Because of course there was nothing else to do, so I was just all in for the YouTube channel. And
Yeah.
now it's less, right? If you look at my YouTube channel now, it's like very seldom
But
because
you also have Discord. What was it called?
yeah, I switched to Discord, so my main activity is now on Discord.
I'm not familiar with that. I should look into it. And you have something called the Van Hemert System.
Yeah, so how it works is like people are always I have hundreds of videos, probably like you, right? Like over 800 videos if you also count the videos that are behind the paywall. Because if you join my Patreon, which is still there, then every lesson would always be divided in two videos. One video was like public,
Oh,
and then
yeah,
another
okay.
video was for the patron. So with those videos, so you have to kind of double the amount of videos on my channel that you can see. So it's really a lot of videos. But people are always asking me, yeah, it's a lot of information. It's all very good, but there's no logical order. There wasn't, of course, because I just
Yeah.
made a video about a thing that I thought was interesting at the time. So people are always asking me, could you maybe write a book like that takes you from step one?
Hmm.
And now, then at one point I was like, okay, let's just do it. Let's just do it. So I wrote this book one, and I call it the Van Hemert System. And that was just a book. So you buy the book and you're on your own, right? But then was this funny instance where I was playing at a festival or teaching a workshop and playing. But then after the workshop, somebody came to me and said, "Can I buy 2 of your books?" I say, "Why you want to buy 2?" I said, "Well, one is for me, and one is for my teacher, because he's been teaching me from your book for the last 2 years, but he doesn't own a legit copy." So then I realized, of course, this book can be copied. It's a PDF, or you can just copy it. There's no way for me to check that. Of course, I didn't really mind, but I thought, okay, is there a way for me to, if I write another book, is there some way that I can add extra value if I know that you bought a real copy? So then I came up with the whole Discord thing. So when you buy a book now, you get an invite to join my Discord, which is just a community app. It's like a forum, but it's a private forum, and you can video chat there. You can do calls. And then and the best thing about Discord is you can make sections that are just accessible to people that you give a certain role, right? So when you buy book 2, you get book 2 role, and you get access to a separate section in my Discord.
Okay.
And it's only accessible to people that have my book 2. And now I have 7 books. So if you have book 6, you get access to that section that is that has book 6 role. You know?
But it's a gypsy jazz guitar course.
No, so yeah, book 2 is kind of book 1 is really like, okay, this is what I learned from Stockler Rosenberg, right? Basically,
Yeah, Stockler Rosenberg, I don't think he needs no introduction.
No. So book 1 is basically, okay, this is what I learned from Stockler. Like, this is how Stockler views the guitar neck. Right? That's basically what book 1 is. And then book 2 is more like general jazz language, and also a way to practice it, because that's always what was missing in books. Of course, you have a lot of information, but nobody ever tells you, okay, this is how you seriously practice it with a practice system and backing tracks and like a real regimen. And the book 3, I thought, okay, now I should be more specific. So book 3 is that same principle, like the methodology and the practice regimen, but it's only about Django in the 30s.
Okay.
4 is only about bebop.
Right,
So
yeah.
it's Charlie Parker and so on, Pasquale Grasso, of course. Book 5 is the Django's comping. So him comping behind clarinet and violin. And book 6 is post-bop. So it's Peter Bernstein, Mike Moreno, Wes Montgomery also. And then book 7, which I just finished, is Django's 40s, 50s. So it really focuses on that vocabulary, but then it puts my practice system and my methodology on top of it. Yeah.
So yeah, something you said there is comping.
Yeah.
Comping is a big thing in this style of gypsy jazz, and I think I really like how you comp, because it's like in this style we care about comping as much as the soloing almost, I find, and some players are kind of famous for how they comp, and but would you consider your way of comping a more modern way, or?
But do you mean comping or do you mean rhythm? So because those are
No.
also
Okay,
two
so
things.
the la pompe, like the.
Okay, yeah. So that's called rhythm, because there's also comping, right? So my book 5 is about Django's comping. So
Right.
it's not playing rhythm; it's what he does on top of the
Right.
rhythm. Yeah. So that's also a thing. But the rhythm style, yeah, my style modern. I guess so, if you really compare it to the style that was played in the 30s. But if you compare it to what Django was doing or his band was doing in the 40s, 50s, it's very close. But it's mainly based on Nusha Rosenberg's
Okay.
Copic style, only simplified. I simplified it because Nusha can get very complicated with his voicings.
Really?
Like, yeah, well, not so much that the voices are out of the box or something, but it's like a lot of voicings. Like the chord is on D, but he's playing like eight voicings, right?
Okay.
And I simplified that because I thought, okay, I need to have a style that I can also easily teach to other people. But like the right hand and the sound is very much based on Nusha Rosenberg's style, who's the rhythm player in the Rosenberg trio, because I made a course with him about
Yeah. Oh,
his style a long time ago. So I spent hundreds of hours in a room with him, like filming him. That's how I learned it.
so you started playing with those guys and others as a violinist, and that's
Yeah,
how.
yeah, as a violinist. Yeah, as a violinist, and then I remember this one. I'm going all over the place. It's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I had this concert with the Rosenberg Trio, and then Stochelo came to me after the concert, or in the break or something. He said, I had just had a gig with Martin Taylor, and Martin Taylor has started this online academy, and it's very successful. And he told me, like Stochelo, that I should do it with Gypsy jazz guitar. But he knew that he didn't know anything about the internet or like how it worked. But he knew he figured Christiaan probably knows. So do you think we could do something like that? I said, yeah, sure, we could do that. I found some people to help us build a website. I thought of like the way we could do it, the way we could film the videos, the transcriptions. So I was the guy making all the transcriptions, even though I didn't play guitar, right? So I just wrote down the notes. And then I let Sibelius make tap out of it. And I would then check the video to see on which string Stochelo played his note. And I would drag it to the correct string.
Oh.
That's how I did it. And then
and that's the Rosenberg Academy.
That's the Rosenberg Academy. And it was very successful. I think still, I don't control it anymore, but it was very successful. Thousands of students. And people loved the transcriptions, but they never realized it was made by someone that didn't play guitar, right?
Also, you didn't even play back.
No,
that's pretty recent. Yeah.
I didn't know. No, it's 2012. I didn't play guitar at all. I mean, I could play some chords, but
oh wow.
Not really. And then people started asking questions on the forum about Stochelo's style. Stochelo, of course, back then I don't think he even was on the internet, so he never looked in the Rosenberg Academy, right? He just made the videos, or he just filmed, and I did everything. So there was no one to answer those questions except for me. So I would answer those questions just based on my observations in the video. But then somebody asked me like after a couple months, hey Christiaan, what kind of guitar do you have? I didn't even have a guitar. I mean, I had like this nylon string, but I didn't have a Gypsy jazz guitar, and I couldn't play anything. And I felt very ashamed, or like a fraud, even though I knew like I was answering based on those observations. But I figured, okay, maybe I should just try and learn it myself now. So that's what I started.
Okay, so that's very impressive that you. But I mean, it's like learning another language, I guess. I also find that in the Gypsy jazz world, it's quite common that people play a lot of instruments. That violinists, they know a little bit of guitar.
Just true, yeah.
Here in Sweden, there's this guy from France. I don't know if you know Aurélien Trigot.
Yeah, of course.
He picked up a guitar at a jam session, and it was like, wow, he can really play. And often guitarists can play a little bit of violin. I've noticed.
Some, yeah.
I can't make a sound on the violin if my life depended on it. But I think even Django Reinhardt himself, he played a little bit.
Yeah, he played violin. He started violin. I think.
Oh, he started.
Yeah, in the Cinti community, almost everybody plays guitar, even if you play another instrument. And some of the guitar players also play violin. Some actually play pretty good. You know, Birelli plays pretty good violin.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as usual as it is, for example, in the bluegrass community, though. There it's very common, right? That they play banjo, guitar, dobro,
right.
But like playing rhythm, it's something that you just want to kind of do when you play Gypsy jazz. You want to know how it feels to play rhythm guitar. So everybody learns that, and you know, like if you want to play minor swing, you could do it with one chord voicing, and you just move it. That doesn't work in bebop. There's no bebop tune that you can say, okay, learn this one voicing, and now you can play ornithology. It's just not going to work. So
no,
yeah,
but it's the easiest thing to learn on the guitar in jazz, but it's also the hardest, I think, to make it sound authentic and as good as some people can. That was because I was a straight ahead jazz player before I picked up the Gypsy jazz style, and I thought, well, this is going to be easy. It's just minor swing, 3 chords, but I quickly realized that this is something I have to kind of devote myself to for a serious. And I'm still struggling with I guess the rhythm, especially.
Yeah. So there's 2 things that's always a problem, because I teach many workshops a year, right? Like these camps. And there's always people coming there that they come from bebop, really good players sometimes. But there are 2 problems. The first is the rhythm sound, because it requires you also probably to hold your pick in a different way than you used to. So that already starts there. But then the other thing is that they cannot make any volume.
Yeah.
So you can play the best lines in the world, but nobody can hear it. And then that requires just a technique that is so
Yeah.
weird. And then you also know it's okay, like all of these intricate lines that I normally play, there's no point in playing, but you can't hear them, right?
Yeah.
So that's the main issues that I think most guitar players have. But about the rhythm, the rhythm sound, it's kind of mysterious, and I can explain it really well, but it still takes some people. It could take years before they get the sound or something.
Yeah.
Because it starts there. You got to know what it should sound like.
Yeah.
And because if you don't have that sound in your head, you will never. Yeah, some people never manage to get it. There's this one guy that I know that's this really good jazz guitar player, like highest level bebop player that you could think of, and he's been trying to get the rhythm sound for years.
Okay.
And he never got it. He still didn't get it. It's like,
It's also frustrating if you are an accomplished guitar player and you have to sit and play 6 chords and triads that you're not used to. That it's kind of humiliating, almost humbling.
but if
Yeah,
it
for
sounds
me,
good, if
for
it
me,
starts sounding good, it's okay. Yeah.
one of the first real encounters with in Canada was with Dennis Chang, that I'm sure you know. And I was jamming with him, and I thought I was pretty good, right? And he was like, "Yeah, you sound great bebop player." I'm like, "No, but I was playing gypsy jazz." He's, "No, you're playing bebop." Oh, like so.
But what do you think is the difference? What do you think is the difference between bebop and gypsy jazz then?
Well, in this case, it was because I didn't have the proper technique, so I was playing. I guess, yeah, that's a good question, but because Django Reinhardt did kind of play bebop too at the end, right? Like he was a bebop fan.
kind of. It's more. I don't think he was necessarily playing bebop. He was more using that accent in his playing. But the
Yeah.
lines is still kind of revolved around diminished arpeggios, which is not very bebop-like.
No.
But the phrases became a little bit shorter, and they started ending more like doo-dap, So in that sense, yes, but I don't think the vocabulary is not really bebop still.
Yeah.
And I know that very well now because also of the bebop book I wrote, of course. But for instance, in my Discord, so how it works is like when you finish a chapter from my book, then you can, if you want to, send me a video of an exercise. And that exercise is very difficult. It takes some people like maybe 100 hours to be able to play one exercise. So when you can do that, you send me a video. And when I say it's okay, you get a title like in chess.
Right.
So like
Like
master.
a black belt.
Yeah, so jazz master is on the lowest level. Like it's exactly like the chess titles, like national master, classical master, and the highest level is
Okay.
grandmaster, of course. So there's one guy in my Discord, David Schenkerman. He did my bebop book, and if you hear him play, he sounds pretty much like Pasquale Gasso. It's amazing. Everybody is amazed in my Discord. So when I hear him play, especially because he's using my system, I can hear the difference between a bebop player and a gypsy jazz player because he started from like can't play, and now he sounds not as good as Pasquale Gasso. But I promise you, I will send you a video later. You'll be surprised how much it does sound like Pasquale Gasso, and it's like there's no 2-octave diminished arpeggios in bebop. You don't play a diminished arpeggio above an octave, right? So maybe 4 notes of diminished arpeggio, and then you change directions, right? And in gypsy jazz, we often play two octave diminished arpeggio runs. So that's one big difference that's already there. And Django never changed that, for instance, in his playing. The long diminished arpeggio runs, even if there's like a half step in between it, they're still there.
Yeah. I mean, but then for me, it's also not only bebop. I'm more of a straight ahead, like post bop, like a modern.
Okay, yeah.
So it's kind of, you have to kind of switch your hat when you're playing gypsy jazz because you can't play that. I mean, some do though, like the more modern Paris players like Adrian Monniard, and I hear all sorts of crazy stuff in their play. But it's always the sound, the technique and the sound is kind of what makes it sound.
So what do you think about Birelli though when he plays art stop?
Yeah, he's all over. He's everything. He can play.
Yeah, but he changed his technique. He changed when he
He
started
does?
playing art stop. Yeah, he starts playing alternate picking or economy picking. He starts playing really differently. So
Wow.
that's probably what's needed to sound authentic. But then again, Joe Pass was basically a gypsy jazz picker.
Yeah.
And also that guy David Schenkerman in my Discord, he plays gypsy jazz picking because he uses my books, but his vocabulary is strictly bebop. So then I also discovered, okay, so you don't really need to have a certain picking style to play anything you want, but you do need to know what the sound is that is expected and try to get it.
Yeah.
Like Olli Soikili, you know him, of course,
Who?
right?
Sorry.
Olli Soikili,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he plays alternates.
Oh, yeah.
But when he plays on the gypsy guitar, it sounds very authentic. So he just knows what the sound should be like, and he can get that sound with his picking style. So in the end, I don't think it does. But like I said before, it's more about that you have the sound in your head and you know what is expected in that style, and then you try to get that.
Yeah. The
whatever way
certain
you can.
the vocabulary.
Yeah, vocabulary and sound.
Yeah.
Like the sound, yeah, the projection or the sound or something. Like I'm not a very good art stool player. I think I'm okay, but I don't feel, especially when there's an amp involved, right? I feel like the sound is coming from another place, not anymore from my guitar, and that feels weird for me to hear the sound coming from another place. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. I
And
can
don't
imagine.
I don't feel comfortable anymore because I'm comfortable with the sound coming directly from my instrument.
Right. Yeah. No. As an electric guitar player, I'm used to it, but I'm more and more attracted to the acoustic thing the older I get. But I was listening to your one of your a record of yours to driving to work this morning. Time's Up,
Oh, that's yeah.
and it's who's playing? That's an archtop guitar.
Yeah, that's an old album, by the way. But
Okay.
I know that's like 2010 or something. I didn't play guitar then. I think it was maybe a little bit later. But
But Stockelo is on that album.
Stockelo is on that album.
But there's an archtop.
Yeah, it's Elliot Muses. He's a guitar player from Amsterdam.
Okay.
A student of Jesper Ruller.
Oh yeah. So you are Dutch. You always lived in
Yeah.
Holland.
Yeah, I'm Dutch. Yeah.
So how popular is gypsy jazz in Holland? Is it like mainstream?
It depends a little bit on what the circles are that you are.
Because I see all these like TV shows from Holland where the Rosenberg trio is playing.
So in that time, the Rosenberg trio got very famous in the Netherlands, but also internationally, and they were like on television every day or something. But that's kind of unusual. I don't know exactly how that happened. I think they had a good producer. I should ask Stockler about that. But apart from that, right? So you had the Rosenberg trio. They had a huge influence, of course, on guitar players in the Netherlands. But to say now, like it's like Paris, no, it's not like Paris. Like in Paris, you can there's every night there's a gypsy jazz jam, there's gypsy jazz concerts all the time. There's no real infrastructure for that here. So, like the city I live in, The Hague, used to be called the bebop city, right? Because Barry Harris was teaching here all the time. Actually, this was his school. So
I just learned that. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so he was here like 3 times a year. I've been in a workshop with him.
Oh wow!
He was teaching all the time. So and every place you would go that there was jam sessions, it would always be very strictly bebop. And if you didn't play bebop, you're actually not very welcome in those sessions. So that's how I grew up in the Hague, right? With that sound always in my ears. But of course, I played violin, which is not very welcome, as you know. So, like this gypsy jazz thing is not really present in the scene. Not in Amsterdam, not in The Hague. You really have to go to the Cinti camps to see that, you know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and in the Paris, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yes. Yeah. But there's all these players. Jimmy Rosenberg is also from Holland, right?
Yeah, Paul Schaefer, Jimmy Rosenberg, Moses Rosenberg, Stochelo, Fabi Lavertin.
Right.
There's a bunch more. The what's that called? Well, there's a bunch of Basilis. They're all Sinti, so they all live in the Sinti community in a camp. And
Right.
yeah, there they play all the time. But as a non-Cinti, you cannot just go there and jam, you know. And there's one Gypsy Jazz jam session I know in Amsterdam. It's like once every 2 weeks or something, but that's it. I don't know of any other Gypsy Jazz jam session you could go to, really.
But I was gonna ask you. So on your website, it says that you teach in the Dutch style.
Yeah.
So how would you describe what is the characteristics of?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question. Of course, that text was written before I wrote book 227, right? So, because now, if you would say, could you teach me Django's from the 30s style, I could do that. And I could say, okay, this is just how Django played in the 30s. Or could you teach me how Django played in the 40s? I could do that. But back then, my only influence for learning guitar was basically Stoffel Rosenberg. That's how I learned to play guitar, right? So I did the Rosenberg Academy. I transcribed his solos. I would study it. And I would talk to Stoffelo how he practiced guitar. And I would just do it the same way. So he would say, okay, yeah, all of me, E7, this is what I play. Right? So I say, oh, you play diminished arpeggio up and then the Phrygian scale down. It's like, I don't know the names, but this is what I play, right? So I would just learn to play exactly like that. And when you do that, when you play like that, which is basically what Paul Schaefer did, what Moses did, you will sound a lot like Stoffelo. And Stoffelo has a huge influence in Gypsy jazz, and that's kind of called the Dutch style. So what
Okay.
I mean by that is I can teach you how Stoffelo views the guitar neck. Right? So I condensed that to 7 basic shapes. Those are in my book 1. There's only 5 shapes actually. It's 5 shapes. You practice those in all keys and on tunes, and if you can do that fluently, you will sound like a discount Stoffler Rosenberg. Of course, you will miss the finesse, you will
Right.
miss the genius spark that is there, but you
Yeah,
will
and the
pretty much,
years of
yeah,
experience and
yeah, and the tastefulness and the timing maybe. But uh, that's what I call the Dutch style. And then there's the French style, which is basically originates with Pirelli,
okay.
right? It's a crazy stuff. It's Adamanya, Sebastiano, yeah, and then there was also kind of an American style.
Okay.
Funnily enough, it's basically like a little bit how Gonzalo Bergara played,
Yeah.
and they're referring mainly to the rhythms, to the rhythm there. It's a certain sound that Gonzalo has when he plays rhythm, which for his time became like the American style of rhythm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard people refer to this as, but I'm thinking of the rhythm as like some people play more old school and some people play more modern. And I prefer, I think, the more mod when I'm playing with somebody, if it's too loud and
yeah,
too, even if it sounds like it's supposed to sound, I like it when it's more muted, I guess.
yeah. Half muted. That's yeah. I agree with you. When I teach a rhythm workshop, I always say, listen, I'm going to teach you my style of rhythm, and it might not be your preferred style, but I can promise you this: nobody nobody will object to it,
Well,
right?
nobody will be offended.
No, yeah, everybody can play with it, right? Because, for example, Charles Limberger, do you know him?
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
who is, yeah.
he has very specific wishes on how things should sound, right? So the way I play rhythm, that's not his preferred style, but he's fine playing with it, right? He's fine with it. Like he would never teach it that way to someone else, but if I play with him and I play like that, he doesn't object.
And
Um,
he lives in Belgium, right?
no, he is a Belgian, but he lives now in Spain.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like my style is kind of neutral.
Yeah.
Everybody is okay with it, and the advantage is it's not very difficult to learn in the sense that the instructions don't take a long time. It's only like 7 chord shapes, and I can explain very quickly how to do it technically. But then again, to get that sound yourself and to get the stamina, that can take a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the time feel. I,
Yeah.
it takes a long time. Some people just have a better time feel than others. It's kind of hard
Yeah.
to put your
You mean
finger
like
on.
steadiness? You mean like steadiness of the tempo?
No, it's just how it swings.
Ah, yeah. I think basically what that boils down to is how good your 2 and 4 sound, how consistent that sound is. Because a lot of people they lose that 2 and 4 consistency of the sound, right? So it sounds different from bar to bar. Sometimes it's muted, sometimes you hear a lot of chord there, sometimes it's softer. If you do that, then it won't swing. So you need to always focus on 2 and 4 and make that sound very consistent in your rhythm.
Yeah, because that's the thing is very different from playing modern jazz, where you're supposed to kind of
Yeah,
you're not supposed to be repetitive. It's broken and open. Whereas
yeah, that's more
here,
pumping. Yeah, because you're not a drummer, right? You don't want a drummer to sound completely different on his right every 2 bars, right? You want to kind of a consistent sound. It's a thing that everybody plays to, right? So it's not a thing that's supposed to be in the foreground all the time.
yeah,
So this right pattern has to be very consistent, and it's your signature. And that's the same with the rhythm sound. The signature there, it's basically it's quarter notes. You play quarter notes, but your signature there is okay. How consistent are your 2 and 4 in the sound? And another thing is like you want chords with a lot of bass in it.
yeah.
So I mean, I could show you, right? Like if you play a G chord, I could actually basically just do this because I'm only playing those lowest 4 strings, right? You don't want to hear. And a lot of people, when they play rhythm, you hear those high strings, and they just that's like hitting the bell on the right. It's nice maybe for 2 bars, but you don't want to have the bell all the time when it's just swing. Maybe it's Latin, right? If it's Latin, if you play bossa, then it's okay. But if you play swing, you just want to have this. Right, you want to hear the low sound. And I always call that in my workshops, I call that the 4 to the floor. It's like the bass drum that doing duk, 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 duk every beat. So that always has to be there, because if the drummer would stop that, it would sound like the fundament of the band is gone. So you want the 4 to the floor, and you want this 2 and 4 consistency. Is that too detailed?
No, no. And I've taken one lesson, gypsy jazz guitar lesson, with a guy named Edward Penn. I don't know if you know him.
I know him. Yeah, of course.
And he told me the same thing, that you need the bottom string, and that it should sound like vroom, vroom,
Yes.
vroom, vroom.
Yeah. You want those fifths there at the bottom.
And
of the
he
chord.
actually uses the thumb to
Yeah, me
get
too.
the
For most chords, like G, right?
yeah.
G minor.
Yeah, I find those hard to grab, those kinds of voicings, because I don't
have
have small
to-
hands.
Yeah, that I hear that a lot, but I know a tiny girl that puts their hand, the thumb on. You have to put your hand more flat. You have to find a way to do it, and also you don't have to press it all the way down, right? Because but when I play rhythm, it's more like. Right? If you you can play a G7 like this, but if you don't use your thumb, you have to use this grip. That's just not very comfortable to press all the time for rhythm, right? Because you need to be able to press. You want to have the chords as much as possible with your fingers pointing that way, so that you can stay in this shape. So when you play 2-5-1 to G, you don't have to do. You don't have to. You can just. You can just stay with your fingers pointing that way. So every voicing that you play should kind of be that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you want to hang on the guitar neck. So your thumb is already there. You just lightly press on top.
Yeah, and also my background is classical guitar, where the thumb is a no-no.
I know, yeah.
They hate that in classical guitar.
I have funny because one of the best Dutch classical guitar players, I won't mention her name, but she wanted to learn some gypsy jazz, so she took a lesson with me.
Oh, really?
And then so she never played with a pick before, right? So we started there, like how you hold the pick, and I was checking. He said, "We're gonna teach you to play a minor string rhythm," right? So I taught this chord, and then she couldn't do it. I was like, "That's weird," because she's one of the best guitar. I mean, I've heard her play. I did concerts with her, classical concerts, where she was playing the most insanely difficult things. And then she told me, first of all, in classical guitar, we never put a thumb there.
Oh.
But the second thing is you never bar with any other finger than the first finger.
Right.
That's what she told me. So she couldn't, because when I play G, I have my second finger on a D and a G, right? So it's always this, and it's for most grips, that's it. But she couldn't like press those two strings and then also articulate the string below it with another finger. She couldn't bend her finger that way. And I told her, listen, that's gonna take some time. But she took one lesson and she never came back.
Right.
But I never knew that about classical guitar because the only thing I ever played on guitar is gypsy jazz. Right? That's how I started. Look, I never played with my finger. I don't have any technique with my fingers. I see people like hybrid picking. I tried it, but I have no technique there. I can only do stuff with the pick. Yeah.
But so you know Stockolo Rosenberg really well. How did he learn? Just from a very early age, from friends and his community, or?
I learned exactly like Stockolo. So how it works in the gypsy jazz community or in the Cinti community is like your father already plays, like everybody plays, and like they're jamming, right? And you just want to join, and they just give you a tiny guitar, and then you're supposed to play some rhythm, and they maybe teach you one chord, right? So they teach you whatever tune is they're playing, they teach you two chords, and then you just for years you're just playing rhythm, right? And you hear here's what I mean, like they hear the good sound all the time, and they're just trying to mimic the sound. So once you can play rhythm, and you want to play solo, you have to want it. Some people don't want it, and they would not force you. But let's say you want to play solo, then they would say, okay, what song do you want to play? You want to play All of Me? Okay, the first chord, right? You know the first chord. They don't know the name. So yeah, that's this chord, right? So this chord. That's very good. That's the first chord. So we played 2 bars, but they don't say 2 bars, but it's like, right? So now learn this, and they do, and they show it. It's okay. Now play it, and then it's okay. Now every time you play All of Me, you play that when you play this chord, right? And then they go to the next chord. Say now on this E7, just play this, right? So they go like bar by bar. They teach you a solo, so just a solo. They come up on the spot, some solo, and then you're expected to play that solo just as is. And then for some people, it will click and say, oh, wait, but this same chord is also the first chord of Sol Si Soir. So I can also probably play it in Sol Si Soir, right? So it's basically just learning licks. But instead of just learning a single lick, they learn a complete solo on the tune. It's like, oh, you play this on All of Me. And then you play it, no, this is a mistake, do it again. Yeah, that's and you have to play it exactly like that. And when you go to a Paul Schaefer now for a lesson, that's what he will teach you. He will teach you to play a solo on the tune that you want. He will come up with the solo on the spot, but at least now you can play something that sounds good, because that's all they're interested in. It's not like how much do you know, how much theory do you know, like how much. They just want to hear you play something that sounds good. Yeah, and that's what Stockholm did for years. So he learned solos mostly from Django, right, or from other people, but mostly from Django, just from the recording, note for note, and he just played the solos exactly like Django. Yeah. Until it start clicking and thinking. Yeah,
so instinct takes over. It's like a language. It all kind of makes sense after a while, I guess.
For some people, right? So what happens is, let's say there are 10 boys that they do it, right? Like maybe one of them will make that link. Yeah. Right? So
be the next Jimmy Rosenberg.
Yeah, so they would say, oh, he's talented. But maybe the other 9 could have done it also if there was somebody that could explain to them how it works, right? But usually there's no one in the Cinti camp that can actually explain how improvisation or how jazz works. It's not like learning a language, right? So I can speak Dutch, but it took a very long time before I knew how it worked. I had to learn in school, and I forgot most of it, but I can still speak Dutch very well. But yeah, if I can't speak Dutch, I don't have a life here. But for the Cinti, if you can't play guitar, you can still have a life. So there's no, this necessity is not there. But the mechanisms of learning to play gypsy jazz, which is just jazz, of course, is the same. It's the same as learning a language. They hand you stuff to repeat, and you repeat it, and hopefully at one point you will stop the repeating stuff and come up with your own combinations of things that you learned.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, and because I started playing this, I was always kind of intrigued by it because this guy Andreas Öberg over here in Sweden started playing it, and I was living in Stockholm, and all of a sudden everybody wanted to play it because he was so good.
Yeah.
But then I moved to Canada, and they were also playing it over there, and I was like, oh, this is some synchronicity. I should. So I started looking into it, and in college, I was in college, right? They give you all this theory of, advanced jazz theory, which I love, but at some point, like it's not. It doesn't help. It's interesting to think about, but when you're actually playing music on the bandstand, and it doesn't really help to know that John Coltrane played an F minor pentatonic over D7 or whatever. So this is I want to say simplicity of it, but it's not simple. But it's just very hands-on.
It's hands-on, but there is like it's interesting that you said it because of course there is some theory that would be very handy to know, right? And most Cinti would also wish they know it. So, for instance, they don't know the note names. That is just very inconvenient in rehearsals and in workshops. I remember this moment where Paul Schaefer, every year we teach a couple of camps together, and we have one in the UK, and then we have two groups. Right, there's a beginner group and a more advanced group, and we switch groups. So the morning he teaches the beginner group, and I teach the advanced group, and then in the afternoon we switch, and the next day, And then I remember, he had the beginner group, and I was just finished with my workshop, and I walked into his classroom, and he wanted a guy to just play this, okay, C minor bar chord. But you've encountered these people, and they sit across you, and you want them to play something, and they play all kinds of things. You just want them to play this, and they play, So Paul was, no, play this. And this guy was, no, they Paul said, no, this. And then after 5 minutes of this, Paul looked at me and said, can you help? And I said to this guy, play a C minor bar chord. And the guy immediately played the correct chord. And then Paul looked at me like, what the hell? But that's in that circumstance, it just would be very handy for him if he would just know that it's a C minor bar chord.
Yeah.
And he also, sometimes he tries to learn that stuff, but it's very difficult for him, of course, to make it stick because it's not at all the way he thinks about guitar, right? It has no reference to anything except for that one moment that he might be able to use it in this random lesson.
But it's kind of fascinating though to not know what a C minor bar chord.
Well, that they show so. Have you ever played with Cinti?
No.
So they can teach each other tunes without a guitar. So how it works is they use their hands, right? And say, no, you do this, and then you do that. And then you say, okay, but how do you know where the hand has to move? They know because all those songs are the same, right? A jazz hand is a jazz hand. So if they say, do this, this, and this, then they know, okay, that's a 2-5-1, right? They say, no, a little bit, but then it's, and then you move a little bit down, and they know, okay, it's probably 2 frets. So they can teach, they actually have this system of teaching each other even without a guitar. It doesn't work with non-Cinti though, right?
Right.
Because it requires for you to have a very intuitive understanding of the music. But it's pretty interesting to see that. They even do it with me, right? Because they know, Christiaan, it's like this. And I can do it a little bit. But that's not how I think, because I still think C minor, and I still think F7, and I still think flat 9. That is all still there. I just try to play. When I play, I just play. But when we talk about music, it's very difficult for me to do it this way, I prefer the note names and just,
Yeah, but I mean, especially someone like Birelli Lagren who plays really complex stuff, but he doesn't know what it is. That's.
Yeah, but it's a guitar, right? If you if this chord is A7 and you say to somebody play this, right? Or say, oh, that's complex. You're playing E flat augmented, but it's also just a shape. And if you say, okay, this is the chord, you just go 1 fret up, and then you play this. That's basically how everything can be learned on the guitar. Everything, doesn't matter how complex it is. That doesn't work like that on a piano, right? On piano, that doesn't work like that, right? You can.
It's very shaped.
Yeah, but even if it's a very complex thing, you can still learn it that way on the guitar. I'm not saying it's the best way, But it's the only way the Cinti do it, and it's also the way I do it, and also the way I teach. Right? It doesn't matter if I teach post bop, augmented skill or something, or I just teach the jungle thing. It's always like that. It's okay. Listen, the chord's A7. We just move up one fret. It's that way, and it's really the way I play actually. So yeah, it works on guitar. It works, and I have to say it's very guitar specific. It doesn't work on a violin, for example.
Yeah, but I mean, it must help that you play violin. I mean, you play violin very high level. So when you're playing, you already knew how to play or improvise jazz.
Yes, but so on violin. So when you it would be very funny to see me teach a guitar lesson and then see me teach a violin lesson. It's like a different person. On violin, I'm only talking about theoretical concepts and the sharp 11 here, and let's do this complicated thing, and it's very theory based. But it's because on violin that I find that the easiest way, because we think in note names on violin, right? There's no point in violin in thinking shapes, because the moment you move your hand up, everything becomes more difficult. So we think in note names. That gives us the overview of the neck. But on guitar, I think it's the opposite. Thinking in note names doesn't really help you on guitar. And the best example for that is like chord shapes, right? If you play this chord, you're not thinking about the order of the notes. In fact, I don't think you could just rattle off the order of the chords here. But you know the chord is F7, right? And you have to think about it. Say, oh yeah, okay, so yeah, on top is a C. But on violin, if you play a chord, every violin player would know the exact order of the notes. So when I talk about chords for a violin player, I talk about note names. But on guitar, because it's so shape-based, there's no denying it, right? Like the first thing on learning on guitar, it's a shape.
It's a shape, yeah.
So if you just take that principle of like, okay, it's a shape-based instrument, that's how you start learning it, and you take it all the way to the advanced stages, then that seems to be the most efficient way. So, yeah, I play violin, but I don't think at all like a violin player on the guitar. It's completely different. Also, my vocabulary is completely different on the violin than the guitar.
Oh, really? Okay.
There's nothing to do with each other. No, nothing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's really based on shapes on guitar. And that's also where sometimes violin players want to buy my book, or they want to come to a workshop. I say, you can come, but, it's going to be very guitar based, and they stop after 10 minutes, because then I take a phrase and we take it to the circle of fifths. You know how difficult that is for a violin player? That's so difficult. But with our guitar player, yeah, we just move it. We move it four.
Oh, you mean like a violinist sitting in with a guitar workshop? Okay.
Yeah, if we say we do, I said we do.
Yeah.
On the violin, forget about it. There's no way they can do that. But that's the basis for me for teaching guitars. We take the shape, we take it to the circle of fourths or fifths, whatever you want, and then we take a tune and we're going to play it everywhere. We're going to change the shape a little bit. On violin, that doesn't work at all. Like, yeah.
Interesting. Well, Christiaan, I want to thank you. I have a question for you after we turn this off, but if people want to study your system, where do they find your is it on your web page or this?
There's two ways, right? So if you're just interested in what you see in the YouTube channel, like all the tabs that are in my videos, they are on my Patreon. So that's one way. But if you really want to be in the system, right, then you have to go to vanhemertsystem.com. I mean, it's very easy. vanhemertsystem.com, and there's right now 6 books there, but the 7th I'm gonna launch in a week, and there will be Black Friday deal. And when you do that, when you buy a book like that, then you get access to this Discord community, which has more than 1,000 people there. They're working on my books. I stream every week into my Discord for book owners, and I answer questions. I'm going to do that right after we stop here. I'm going to stream in my Discord because there's a bunch of questions. I react to videos. You can send me videos. And that's probably, if you really want to study in a very disciplined way, because that's the thing I have to say. If you buy my book, it's not a book that you buy and you look into it for. No. If you buy the book, it will force you to practice for hundreds of hours. That's just, otherwise the book is useless to you, because that's what the book is. It's a practice system tied to a certain vocabulary. And if you don't do that practice system, then you won't learn anything. There's no theoretical concepts or explanation of anything. It's just vocabulary organized per chord progression, like 2-5-1s or Christoph changes or dominant chain or turnaround. And then it's then in my positional system. And then it's just practice regimen. So if you are ready for that, because some people are not ready for that, I understand that, then the Discord thing, vanhemertsystem.com would be the best way.
Cool, and we'll put links to everything in the description. So, yeah, thank you for your time. I'm gonna